Our next speaker is coming from a very long 23 hours flight, Mr. Tink Taylor. He is from dotmailer. He's coming all the way from London. Please welcome Mr. Tink Taylor.
Are we on? Are we in? Hello. Thanks for that. Yeah, so I'm Tink. I'm the founder and president of dotmailer, which is an email marketing automation platform. And I've come all the way from Vancouver, despite my dulcet tones and my English accent. But I'll touch on that in the presentation. So today I'm just going to quickly run you through some email marketing programs that are proven to drive revenue. We see this across all of our clients. I'll then do a deep dive into a case study of a company called Slendertone, and these guys focus on their post-purchase email programs. So first up, what are the programs that we're going to run through? Well, there they are. They're on screen. Don't worry. You don't need to write those down. I will run through those through the presentation. And by the way, when you look at this screen and you're doing a customer journey, has anyone actually drawn out a customer journey that looks like this? I think we typically like to draw a flow chart or a circular kind of diagram. The problem is this: when you do that, we often try and put structure around it. We get that customer journey wrong. We as customers don't think in that sort of flow charty way or that circular diagram way anymore. We think and buy differently. And to illustrate that, kind of think of the email order confirmation that we send out. Who would start a customer journey with your confirmation email? Not many. But actually, if you think about how you buy stuff, maybe not expensive stuff like a house or a car, we've all got cell phones, we all buy apps. So you see a cool app, it's mentioned on a blog, before you know it, you've downloaded it and you've bought it. So the first thing that that company knows about you is when you buy that and they're sending you the order confirmation. So it's clear that we can't think in those sort of linear or those flowcharty ways when we're thinking about customer journeys. We can jump into that customer journey at any point. And I guess the key thing about this presentation is to make sure of all of those automations that I mentioned, that if you are doing email, that you do all of these. We see lots of our clients are doing some of them, they're doing them very well, but they're not doing all of them. All of them make money. So if you're not doing all of them, you're leaving money on the table. So let me take you back. Here's a shop from the 1800s, and we have a shopkeeper here, and he's talking to his customers. This shopkeeper probably would see his customer in church on Sunday, and he'll probably see the customer's husband in the pub with great regularity. Now, in meeting and greeting his customers all the time, he really got to know everything about them. And if I turned up to him and said, look, hey, I'm a consultant from the future, I'd like to talk to you about your customer experience and map your customer journeys, he'd probably look at me and think I was a witch. It would have made no sense to him. The customer experience to him is they come into my shop. I talk to them. I am nice. I offer them products that they want at a fair price, and I deliver good service. What more experience do they actually want? And who, by the way, has everyone got a store where you walk into and the guy knows your name? When I go back to London, I do have a store, and I walk in, and the guy says, hey, Tink, he recognizes me, knows my name. Those beers that you normally buy, I've moved them from that shelf, and I now put them on this shelf. That wine that your girlfriend always buys is half price. And some guy bought that this morning, and he also bought this wine. Maybe she'd like to try that. That is just a commerce conversation. Now, the challenge we have in the digital world, we need to have that kind of conversation at scale. We need to be having thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not millions of those conversations at the same time. The good news is that technology enables us to do that, and we do that by automation. We can be human. We can recognize our customers, anticipate their needs, and have conversations like that at scale. We tailor the experience. We use their behavior, using our personality to provide unique content and offers for them. Make them feel valued. If you do this, you will get higher engagement levels, and if you do that, you'll get ultimately higher returns. So when we're having these conversations at scale, you benefit from being more human by automation and segmentation, which increases your ROI over simple batch and blast. So we can see the stats as they appear there. And just for batch and blast emails, the US DMA actually state that for every dollar spent on email, you should expect a return of $45. That, by the way, is a sweeping average. There's a whole range of people in there. They've got new data, old data. Some people are doing acquisition. Some people are doing retention. The key thing is you actually work out that stat for your business. For every dollar you spend, what are you getting in return? And as I said earlier, we're thinking and buying differently. So perhaps when we're measuring our success, we should think differently as well. When you increase the frequency of sends by automation, you'll actually find that your percents and your rates, those metrics will decline. So your open rates, your click rates, et cetera, et cetera. The key thing is that the total actions, your stats in aggregate, so the total number of opens, the total number of clicks, and your total revenue will go up. So it's really important that you're tracking your counts and not your percent metrics or your rates. So it sounds like we've got a big job here. We've got to redesign a whole new strategy. We haven't. Essentially, all we've got to try and achieve is to employ a strategy that we've used for years and years and years and years. And that's just to be as human as possible. So what are the automations? And where do you start? We quite often see that when we provide our technology to our customers, they have a load of questions that they ask us and demands they put upon us at the RFP stage. And then we give them the tool, and it's almost like they get writer's blank. What do I do? So we've looked across all of our clients, and we've seen the automations that are making the biggest difference. So we kind of give them a starter for 10. So let me run through them. So first up, and we've got some examples of our clients here. So we have a welcome program. Why would we want one of those? Well, 74% of customers expect a welcome program. Really simple. And really good news for us. It's one of the most engaging emails that we send out. We see on average 40% open rates, 25% click rates, and 3% conversion rates. And remember, when you meet someone and you meet them face to face, you have to get to know them. You know, we've all been networking in the last couple of days, and you ask people what's their name. You know, who do you work for? What do you do? You can't just go up to people and just assume things and start selling straight away. And in fact, if our sales guys did that and didn't try to understand our prospects' needs and requirements and just went straight into a sales pitch, you know, they'd soon be looking for another job. So in this example here with Elemis, you know, these guys, the beauty products, they deliver a very personalized face-to-face experience, and they're trying to replicate this in their email program. So in their welcome program, the first 2 emails that go out, no offers or anything like that, absolutely nothing mentioned at all. It's all about getting to know you and about you getting to know them as a brand. And they do this by giving you lots of expert advice. Email 3 there on the end. Again, softly, there's no offer in that. And in fact, you get a treat. They give you a free gift, so a great bonus. We get to email 4. They're going a little bit harder. There's a bit of an offer in there, but they temper that by also adding guides about how to use their products. They add some reviews and testimonials to sort of, soften that up. Then we get into email 4 and 5. They go in with the offers. You get 10% off and then 20% off. By this stage, it's almost like, are you deaf? It's time you start buying stuff from us. People say to us, why don't you put the offer in straight away? Well, the honest answer is in emails 1 to 4, people will buy stuff. So you don't need to discount straight away. You're, again, leaving money on the table if you're doing that. And obviously, if those that have bought in emails 1 to 4, we recognize that. We swap them out of that customer journey and we put them into a different one so they don't get the offers later on. So next up, it's a birthday email. Remember to ask for date of birth when people subscribe or at some point during your engagement with the customer. It's a really simple event-driven trigger. Some people in the B2B world argue with me that birthdays don't make sense for them, but really, does that really? You've got a really good client. You're on the phone to them, you know it's their birthday, you don't wish them happy birthday, you don't send them a bottle of wine or invite them out for dinner. People are people. We all love being told happy birthday. It was mine last week, and I was gobsmacked by the amount of Facebook messages, tweets, emails, Skype messages, and so on I got. Fantastic. But do remember, you don't always have to give away a gift. One of our clients, called Fair FX, they don't actually have a gift to give. They do money exchange, and as much as we'd like them to send us money, they're not going to do that. But in their birthday email, they actually ask you to recommend them to a friend. And they can do this because they've bought the goodwill off you by wishing you happy birthday. And when we look at their results across all of their campaigns, it's their most effective email that they send. And probably one other thing, I'm not sure if you've got Pizza Express out here. Certainly we see it in the UK and in North America. If I'm going out for Pizza Express, taking a girlfriend out for dinner tomorrow, I quickly go and set up a new Gmail account, register with them. It's my birthday tomorrow, funny enough. So I wake up in the morning, and in my inbox, I've got a voucher for a free bottle of champagne. Brilliant. So be wary. People can game this. That's why I suggest you don't give away gifts. And they'll try and take advantage of it. But you can buy that goodwill just by wishing people a happy birthday. So next up, abandon browse. So this is the equivalent of me walking into the store. I pick up a shirt. I put it down. I pick it up again. I look in the mirror and say, I'm going to rock this on date night at Pizza Express with a girlfriend. And by this stage, the shop assistant dives in and says, wow, Tink, that looks great on you. Maybe that's not your size. Maybe that's not your color. And in fact, this happened to me. I was on holiday with my girlfriend in Hawaii. She does seem to be featuring in this presentation a lot, doesn't it? But we were away last week, and she came out the changing room. She was wearing this top. It was hideous. I hated the color, and before I knew it, the shop assistant had dived in there and went, you look amazing in that. And here's the pants that go with that. And before I knew it, she was at the checkout, and it was sold. It works. People say it can be a bit creepy. Well, you can make it creepy if you like and say, right, I know last Thursday at 10 o'clock you looked at this page 12 times. I don't recommend you do that. It's about adding value and good service. Again, you're being helpful, you're being human, you're trying to help someone out to solve their problems. And in this example here, Templi are using abandoned browse for remarketing. And they look at what clients have been viewing, and they use that for recommendations of products in their future email. So we move on to abandoned basket or cart. I think we all know what that is, but I think the really important thing here is we're looking at our mobile phones up to 150 times a day. So you've got to make sure that whole process is mobile friendly. Now, is this so people can convert through email? It's interesting to see Hadi's stats on the growth of mobile in the region. At the moment, we're seeing some transactions through mobile, but not all of them. But the key thing is you can guarantee that if we're looking at our phone and we're always shopping, always browsing, if that experience isn't good then, they're not going to come back at a later date on a device that they can convert on. So it's interesting. If you are getting mobile transactions, then that's a bonus, and they will continue to increase as the use of mobiles becomes more prevalent. And in fact, mobile was touted to be the death of email. It's not actually happened. They work very well together. And we actually see that 70% of purchases made on a mobile phone have been influenced by the emails that the consumers have received. So onto the abandoned cart then. How should we set this up? Well, Forrester research tell us that 90% of cart abandonment leads go cold within an hour. So every minute reduces your chance of conversion. So we recommend a three-step program. So really simply, email one, send it within the first hour, gear the content towards service, perhaps ask, did something go wrong during the order processing or the buying process? Email two, 1 week later. This should be benefit-led about the product. And then email three, a week after that. And include an offer, perhaps, or maybe just even a warning to say, this is the last time that your products you're holding for them will be available. They're going to expire. Marketing Sherpa have actually studied this three-step program, and in their research, they said that they see a 29% return in terms of sales driven from those that receive this. It works. So once we've got someone to buy, we send out a transactional email, i.e. they've given you the cash. What do you do next? You say, thank you. It's being human. How many times have we seen a parent reminding their child to say thank you when they've given you something? So we're trained to say thank you, and we're actually trained to expect it as well. And whilst you're doing it, at the same time, why not add some value? Say, hey, your product has been picked, it's in the post, it should arrive on XYZ time, call us on this number if it hasn't arrived, and by the way, this is how you do a return. And I won't read this out, but here's some really nice copy from a company that this went kind of viral within the email world that I live in. And it's good, it's fun. These emails don't have to be boring and functional. These guys really brought out their personality. It was signed off by the CEO. Then they put the tracking information at the bottom. But what they've done here is they've really engaged their user, and they can guarantee they're going to come back later. And this actually got them a lot of coverage and loads of great reviews, which brings me nicely on to my next point. So reviews, they're important. There's an old adage that says, when someone has a bad experience, a good experience, they'll tell 5 people. If someone has a bad customer experience, they'll tell 25 people. Now, technology has not only enabled us, it's enabled the customers. So that kind of experience is now happening at scale. More and more reviews are happening. People are making buying decisions based on those reviews. And you're not controlling it, and there's lots of eyeballs on that stuff. So why not try and encourage people to do a review when it's within your control? So we have a client called Very, called very.co.uk, and they encourage social sharing of positive experiences. So an email is pinged out when they know they've had a good customer experience, and it just encourages people to add those positive reviews. And having done that, they've literally flooded in, and they use the content of those reviews in their welcome series and other areas in their site, which encourage sales. So we move on to the cross-sell and upsell. Another old adage, it's 5 times cheaper to keep a customer than it is to acquire a new one. So why are we not working really hard on keeping more of our customers? We develop a lot of content, after all, to win new customers. Why not use it to re-engage and get people back to your site? And again, as I said earlier, it's not about sell, sell, sell in your emails. It's not push, push, push. We don't want that when we put ourselves in the consumer's shoes. That's not the type of stuff that we want to receive. But I think we see lots of people when they're doing their marketing, they're driven, they want to get sales, so they tend to be over-salesy. Now, the bodybuilding warehouse in this example, they did this really well. They added a little widget in their HTML provided by Nosto, if anyone's familiar with that. And this personalizes all their upsell emails. All the recommendations are suited to what people have previously browsed or their previous purchase history. So the next automation is reminders. This is a very good, important point here, is you should really understand your buying cycle. Again, this is an easy event-based trigger. And they're not only just good for sales, they're good for things like bookings and appointment confirmations, event reminders, a special offer perhaps ending soon. And don't forget, in this arena, you can use the multi-channels as well. So if a customer is not engaging with the email, recognize this, reach out to them somehow in some other way. This could be SMS, print, or in this particular example, they did this using Facebook custom audiences. So by all means, try the cheaper channel first, which is email, but it's all about going where your customers are and getting them to come back and re-engage. If I go back to my shopkeeper analogy, if that woman stopped coming into the shop, the shopkeeper would look out for him in church and probably head down to the pub to see if he can find her husband and ask why aren't they coming in. So I mentioned earlier we're going to go through Slendertone. So Slendertone Connect. These guys, their focus is on retention and replenishment. They actually found just with a 5% increase in retention, they produce profits of up to 25 to 100% greater. So really key. And what's interesting about these guys is that they focused on everything in reverse. So they focused on post-purchase interactions with their customers, and they worried about all that other stuff like welcome and what have you later. So a little bit about them to paint the picture. So they're the world leader in producing products that tone your muscles and body shape and what have you. They have an abdominal toning belt that are clinically proven to improve your core muscles. I think they're actually FDA approved in the US, which is no mean feat. And I think Mike's got one the way he's grinning at me. He's wearing it now. And like many of you, they found that their customers speak multiple languages, they pay in multiple currencies, and they use multiple storefronts, which actually, interestingly, these guys are using Magento. And their customers have quite a lengthy consideration process when they're buying these belts. So they typically ask 3 questions. Does it work? How does it work? Does it hurt? So does it work? Absolutely yes. How does it work? Is it an electrical charge? It stimulates all of the nerves, activating your core muscles. And does it hurt? I don't know, not any more than a regular gym workout. The problem they have is getting people into the habit of using the belt. And it's very much like if you skip a session at the gym, you do it one night, you go to the pub, maybe have a nice dinner, and that happens the next night. Suddenly, your fitness program's gone out the window. Now, these guys know it takes them, it takes their belts between 4 and 6 weeks to have a visible effect. So it's really important for them to get their customers through that 4-week window. Therefore, they designed the Slendertone Connect belt. So this actually connects with a mobile app, and this is where email comes in, because it connects their data, enabling them to deliver the right content, the right message to the right user at the right time. So to do that, they need to really know a lot of stuff about their customers. So what do they know? They know where in the world they are, so when to send, and the language they speak, and why they've chosen the belt. And that typically falls into 5 categories. People want to fit into old clothes, they want to increase their body confidence, maybe it's part of a weight management program, to strengthen the core muscles, or just to look good. Now, going back to their data, they also know the frequency of usage, which is key. So they know when people use it most often, which happens to be about 8 p.m. They know that some users use it every couple of days, and they've got some hardcore users that use it every couple of hours. But most importantly, they know when you've stopped using. Now, I'll come back to that later. Now, the diagram you're actually looking at there shows exactly how this works. So in the middle, the user straps on the belt talks to the mobile app via Bluetooth. The app talks to the Magento database, and Magento, through our integration, talks to dotmailer, and it sends loads of custom data fields. This is where dotmailer is able to pick up on that, sending a message in the right language and the right email to keep the customer toning. The customer, therefore, will get their email. They feel good about things. They're encouraged to pick up their belt, and they tone again. They see the results. They feel happy. They tell their friends, who then buys a belt. And the cycle continues. So here's the actual customer journey that you would run through. So you sign up and you select the most appropriate toning program. An email is sent out to confirm the program. It gives you more information about that, what to expect, some exercises to complement your toning, and what your goals are within the first week. From there, every week you're emailed a report on your progress. It checks how you're doing against your targets, feeding you more information, and sets goals for the following week. Now, dotmailer here is busy doing the heavy lifting in the background. It's using automation programs to do this. It's using those data fields it's pulling from Magento to generate dynamic content that feeds the whole program. In fact, they have so much data, they can't fit everything into their email. So they use landing pages as well. And again, those landing pages are highly personalized for them. They not only send information about their workouts and tones and what have you, they also benchmark you against similar people. So if you're using the belt every 2 hours, they'll benchmark you against an elite athlete. Perhaps you've just returned from having a child and you're getting back into shape, and they'll benchmark you against other recent mothers. So all of this data is, as I said, it's flowing from the app to Magento into dotmailer, and we can build these customized emails and landing pages. That's really key. Now, I mentioned earlier we know when people stop toning. This is really key, and the reason it's key is they know if someone stops toning for 6 days, that's it. So it's absolutely critical that they get people through that 6-day gap. So when they get to that 6-day gap, what do? Well, emails are sent out, again, in the right language. They don't nag them or say, we miss you. They just give you a gentle nudge. Hey, you bought a belt. we know the reason that you did that, and then they send them some content around those 5 reasons I mentioned earlier. And just encourages people to pick up the belt and start toning again. And by doing that, that gentle nudge, they see a 21% re-engagement rate of people picking up the belt and toning. So quite significant and really simple as well. And they're constantly split testing the content, by the way, to try and increase that 21%, and they're tweaking and making changes the whole time. They're also looking at that customer journey and what other key points are there around that 6 days gap. You know, are there other times where they can send out an automation? So a typical example there, they know the gel pads that the belt uses. They have a sort of a shelf life of 30 days. So gentle reminders are sent out in advance to encourage people to use them. In fact, they can do this for any of the belts they have, not even just the app belts. And if you're selling products, we can all do this. You know, we can make a guess on the purchase date, keep an eye on that, and if you know the regularity of when that needs replenishment, just send out an automated email. Simple. Now, they're doing all of this to bring people back to them and bring them back and break that 4-week barrier. They're making sure their customers are retained, and they're doing that so they can upsell and cross-sell to them at a later date. They're also introducing the other automations that I've run through in this presentation. So things like reviews, I've identified those hardcore users that are using the belt every 2 hours, and they ping them an email, automated email, and they see them doing that and encourage reviews. And again, the reviews have absolutely flooded in. They use the content for that to help win more customers, and they use the content for that to encourage those people that have put their belt down and not toning again to pick it up and get going. The thing I love about this is that they start, as I said, they start at the end and work backwards. We're often too linear in our thinking about the challenges that we face. So we think, in the world of email, we think we need email. How do we get them to sign up? Where do we get the address? Oh, now we've got the address. They've abandoned their cart. What do we do about that? But these guys actually looked at the whole customer experience and then understood where they should focus their time and effort. And they did that in the area where they knew they can make the biggest difference and have the biggest impact on results. So they collected and connected a whole lot of data. Now that sounds like quite a big task, but all they did is simply break it down into bite-sized chunks and then delivered on each one of those to actually get the results they achieved. So just to wrap up then, a few points. It's obviously time to start delivering personalized, humanized messages and not doing batch and blast. And we do this by automation and segmentation at scale. Now, and also make sure that you do all the automations that I've listed in this presentation. You are leaving money on the table if you don't. And again, much like Slendertone, just to reiterate, do look at your customer life cycle and understand where you can have the biggest impact. Or as we like to say at dotmailer, think big, start small, and scale quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Tink. All right, let's open up a question for Mr. Thing. Oh, wait, over there. Can I have a microphone?
Hi, Tink. I think I have a few questions. You shared with us all the emails that we should have for our site and stuff like that, but what's the best tool to get the best conversion? That's one. And often enough customers feel spammed in getting too much emails from a certain brand or a certain website. So what's the frequency that you think it's okay for our customers to receive in like a week period probably? So it's more of a technical question. Thank you, and happy belated birthday.
Yeah. No, two very good questions. So to answer your first one, what's the best tool? That's really easy. It's called dotmailer. Rowan over there is our sales guy. I'd love to give you a demo. We could do that for anyone. But there are a number of tools out there, and actually, realistically, if you are considering buying something, there's a whole raft of tools like ourselves, and there's some that offer crazy amount of sophistication. There's some that are cheap and free, but they're limited in sophistication. I would encourage anyone that's going for an RFP, don't listen to poor Rowan over there. Don't listen to the sales guy. Far too many of these companies are full of sales and marketing hype. Get your hands dirty. You've seen the automations you should do. Just go and try and set them up. I've just come back from Australia, and I've kind of, my expression down there's a couple of very big US vendors that have very deep pockets in terms of sales and marketing. And I kind of feel Australia just feels sick from the amount of Kool-Aid that they've been drinking from the marketing of these companies. So, they've got it out the box, they've tried to use it, and it's just not as easy as they were promised. So I'd encourage you to have a try. Now, in terms of frequency, now I get asked that question all the time. And the answer is as much as possible, as often as possible. Now, everyone, I saw your face go, ah. Now, in our inboxes, we've all got maybe 5 or 10, maybe as many 20 brands that when we get an email, we love it, we read it, we hunt it out from the junk folder. Now, the emails you're referring to, you're going, I've got this, I really don't like it from that brand. It's because they offer no value. You've got to look at the content. If you're always sending something of interest and value, people will engage. Now, when I said earlier, like, increase your frequency, you should do that as much as possible. And you see the total counts, and we've studied this across loads and loads of clients. The more that you send, you will guarantee you will get more opens, more clicks, more revenue. Now, you'll also get a few unsubscribes, more unsubscribes. Now, if you see that peak too much, throttle back. That is how much your database with your product will have the tolerance to receive the emails. So it's different for everyone, but you've got to test it. And you've got to test yourself by saying, I'm going to send as much as possible. And it's kind of a mental challenge to get through because it instantly feels a bit spammy. But if you don't send, guess how much you make? Nothing. So something's better than nothing. So I'd always, the frequency is as often as you can, and just test it. We test everything else. We do the subject lines, the copy, the creative, the call to action. But I think people are a little bit afraid to sort of test increasing the frequency, but it does work. There is a cutoff, throttle back. Email's one of the only means of advertising where the consumer can turn it off with an unsubscribe. You can't do that with radio, you can't do that with TV. You're forced to watch the adverts. So, yeah, you're in charge. Good question.
All right, next question, Karthik.
Yeah, hi, Tink. On the abandoned cart, do you have any data on the conversion rate on the abandoned cart emails? Let's say you send an email, okay, you left the cart off, and do you have any data on the conversion?
In terms of the amount of people abandoning, or?
No, I mean, after, let's say I abandoned my cart, and I get an email, okay, I abandoned it. Do I really go and buy it, or I just read it and ignore it?
Yeah, I mean, the three-step program I had there, so 29% of people will convert through that, and that's in aggregate across all three of those, and obviously that breaks down slightly differently per email. It will depend on the nature of the product itself, about how urgent the need is for this type of thing. And we do also know with the abandoned cart, we're all consumers. We know if we put that in the cart, we've trained people, like we train people to say thank you, we're trained people now to get an offer in an email. So they're off shopping, and they're expecting it. And that's why I say in the emails, in that three-step program, don't send an offer straight away. So, as I say, the first email, ask them a question. Did this work or did this not work? What were you doing? Why didn't you buy? Maybe giving them information about the returns, that kind of value add to encourage the sale and not an offer. But yeah, it's about 30% overall.
All right. So next, we're going to bring our last speaker of the day. I'm going to bring my friend here, Mike Doyle from Magento.
You have 30 minutes.
I think he's getting prepared right now.
Okay.
All right, let's give a hand to Mr. Mike Doyle from Magento.
Thank you. All right, thank you for that. So let's get these slides going. All right, so I'm Mike Doyle. I'm the Enterprise Sales Manager with Magento. I cover our Southeast Asia, Australia, and New Zealand regions. So I've been with Magento for about 6 years, majority of that time working with our merchants in Australia, recently come to Southeast Asia, making a bigger investment into this market. So what I got planned for you guys today was to tell you a little bit about what we're doing at Magento. So some new products, some new updates that we've rolled out. So I'll tell you a little bit about Magento Enterprise 2.1. I'll spend more time talking about what we're doing in the cloud And then we're also doing a lot in the order management space as it comes to omni-channel retail. So maybe before I get there, I'll give you a little bit of history. So if you sat during Ben Mark's presentation yesterday, he took a much deeper dive into our history, but I'll go through it here pretty quickly. So we kind of start back in 2007, right, 2008. There was a company, Varian Technology, and they basically wanted to build a better e-commerce platform. So something that was more flexible, something that was more scalable, something that was more module-based. So we built Magento, right? And we started off with Magento Community, and we quickly grew. So for Magento Community, we launched commercial versions of our platform, Magento Enterprise, which was a good fit for mid-market, mid-size, small enterprise, now large enterprise, size businesses. And along the way, we got acquired by eBay. They made a huge investment into the Magento 2 platform. They made investments into order management. And then in 2014, we began the process of splitting off from eBay. So good investment, right, from a very large company. But being independent has a lot of benefits, and we have really good backers from a financial standpoint. So Primera is a private equity firm. They own Magento. They invest into our platform. And I think what's interesting about Magento compared to other technology companies I've worked for is we're very R&D focused. So we're very lean on the sales and marketing side, but we have 300 people, right, dedicated to R&D. So we're product oriented, right? We like to invest in our products, improve our products, and that's kind of what I'm going to talk about, today. So if you look at our reach, the numbers with Magento are big across the board. So you can look at enterprise customers, right? 3,100, 250,000 merchants across the world that utilize the platform. You look at solution partners, right, like iCube, 300 certified solution partners, 130,000 developers, $50 billion, right, of enabled commerce. And what's important if you're a merchant, right, and you have these big numbers is there's economies of scale. It's much easier to do customizations on our platform. It's much easier to find developers. There's lots of resources out there, and we put a big investment in making sure that that ecosystem is supported. And the ecosystem is worldwide. So Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, those are big markets for us, but we're big in every market we're basically allowed to trade in. And the benefit from a merchant standpoint is if you're in one market and you want to go to another market, we'll have an ecosystem in that market that can help you localize, or payment gateways, right, that are specific for that market to help you localize. So we do a lot, right, in cross-border trade and enabling our merchants to sell into different countries. And I think it's also important to note that we're a fast-growing company. So not only are we the #1 provider from an e-commerce platform standpoint, we're also the fastest-growing provider in that space. So there's publications like IR, Internet Retailer. They look at the top 1,000 largest merchants. We're the #1 provider, right, in that space. You look at B2B, we're also the #1 provider there. But interesting, if you look at the fastest growing merchants, more than half of those, right, are on our platform. So we work really well with the new merchants, with startups, really helping them grow their business. So that's, you want to go back there? We can send you the slides as well. All right, can I move on? Okay. So that's a little bit about what we've been doing, some statistics, some numbers right behind our platform. But what's new, new at Magento? Actually, maybe before I tell you what's new, what do we actually do? So we provide platforms and services in a few different areas. So if you look at the left here, it's all your customer touch points. So where are orders coming through? Is that e-commerce? Is that social? Is that marketplaces? And then all the fulfillment aspect on the right. How do I actually fulfill those orders to my customers? So you can break down our product offerings in a few different areas. So digital commerce, that's probably what most people here are familiar with. So that's Magento Enterprise, Magento Community, right? The actual e-commerce platforms. We also do a lot in the cloud space. So we have a version of Magento called Magento Cloud Edition, and I'm going to take a deep dive into that. It's really interesting platform. And then you'll see order management. So we have a separate product called Magento Commerce Order Manager, and that's a distributed order management system, and we'll take a deeper dive into that. But also important, right, is that last square there for the marketplace. So all of the extensions, right? The guys like dotmailer, pulling them in and extending the platform, the marketplace is very important, right, to our success and our client success. So that's pretty high level, right, in terms of what we do. And then really what's new. So if you've been following Magento, you'll know that we released Magento 2 in November of last year in Sydney. We now have released Magento Enterprise 2.1. So we got direct feedback, right, from our clients on where they wanted us to make improvements into the platform, where they wanted us to build new features. So I kind of broke this down into 4 areas. So we have staging and preview. We have updates around the search technologies, the search engine, right, that we're using in the platform. I'll talk about payments and really more kind of contextual shopping and how we're working with that. And then admin tools, right, making it more efficient to manage Magento. So let's start with staging and preview. In my 6 years at Magento, I think this is the most interesting new feature we've ever developed. So it's worthwhile going through a demo and checking this feature out. But really what it allows you to do is allows you to stage content, right? So let's say you're rolling out a new campaign for a new month, or maybe you sell into different hemispheres and you have a winter line and a summer line. I can go in there and do all those updates. So add new products, add new categories, add new pricing, add new CMS pages. But instead of saving that to just go live, I can save those into campaigns. So this is my September campaign. And then if you can kind of see in that screenshot, you can go in and get a list of all the different campaigns, right, that are scheduled for the next year. So a really powerful tool in the platform, much better than the old kind of staging system that was in Magento. You can go down to specific dates and times to do your staging now. All right, Elasticsearch. So previously we used Solar Search in Magento Enterprise. We're making a move to Elasticsearch, which is the most popular search engine out there. So better, right, for higher volume searches. It's a much better solution, so we'll support that going forward. It's also easier from an international standpoint. They natively support 33 languages out of the box. And then enhanced payments. And I think this is probably a bigger conversation around contextual shopping. So you heard this morning, right, with Skyfish, buying within the system that you're using in context, right, shopping. So buying within a chat app, buying within Facebook, buying within Instagram, not having to link out to another system is a hot market right now. And so what we do from our standpoint is around the checkout, and specifically in markets where there's higher credit card penetration, instead of linking off to PayPal into PayPal's system into another screen, I can do that, right, within context. Or instead of using an iframe, I can have just one payment field, right, that is hosted. So we do a lot with Braintree, a lot with their kind of hosted payment fields. So contextual shopping, I think it's important that your commerce platform, right, the systems that you're using support that. And for us right now, it's mainly around in the checkout and making sure we support those in-context checkout options. All right, and admin tools. So if you took a look at Magento 2 already, you'll know the admin is much better. It's much easier to use. It's enabled on a touch-friendly, tablet-based device. But things like searching for products, things like creating your own product views, creating when that you log in, right, there's a specific list of the way that you like to look at your product grid, right? We support that all now in Magento 2. And in Magento 2.1, we've made even more improvements into that space, specifically around the search. Go back in there, it's much easier to find products quickly. So that's pretty high level, right, what we're doing around 2.1. And now I kind of want to take a deeper dive into our cloud edition. So I think to start, right, whoops, went way too fast there. Everyone has a cloud strategy, so it's important to have a strategy around how you'll utilize the cloud. So this is some data from Forrester Research. They went out and did a survey. And we'll make sure you get this slide, but it talks the reasons why people are looking at cloud strategies, some concerns that they possibly have in there. But I think the takeaway here is really to have some sort of strategy, right, around how you'll utilize the cloud. And for us, it's taking Magento Enterprise and it's putting it into the cloud. But a lot of applications, right, are SaaS-based, and SaaS-based solutions can be, good for specific applications. But we find when something's customer-facing, SaaS is somewhat limited in terms of what you can do. And really, there's kind of two big concerns our clients have with SaaS around e-commerce. One is that they're like every other merchant on that platform, right? I have to live within their box. I'm locked down in terms of what I can customize, what I can do with the platform. So our solution's a platform as a service offering. And I'm going to kind of take you through step by step on what that offering looks like. But from an infrastructure standpoint, we use AWS. So if you sat during the AWS presentation yesterday, you probably heard all about, right, their growth within the market. So infrastructure layer, we have AWS. It's a natural fit for us. We found that 23% of our merchants were already on AWS. So they're definitely the leader, right, in our ecosystem. And they're the leader in any analyst, right, you look at. It's AWS is the leader in Gartner. AWS is the leader in Forrester. So it's where we wanted to base our technology. Every certification available, I think that they have. So makes a lot of sense, right? But I think really important is that you can be close to your customers. So if you're local, right, you can serve up in Singapore to your customers. If you're in the US or Australia or Brazil or wherever your customers are, right, you can host in those locations. And availability. So having, I don't know if you sat during the presentation, but having multiple availability zones is important to having a high available environment. So an availability zone is basically a separate data center, right, within a region connected via low latency fiber. So having multiple availability zones is a big benefit of using AWS, and it's a benefit of you of having a highly available, environment. And that's a little small, but that's a pretty standard kind of configuration, that we see. Triple redundant, AWS, high available, Magento setup there. You want to go back and take a picture? Okay. And then I think important to note, right, it's a little bit different than you going and getting AWS and setting it up yourself. So with Magento, we're providing an SLA around, what we're offering. So a typical hosting SLA is, right, your network connection, your power. With Magento, we're providing a platform as a service offering. So not only are we offering the network connection, the power, but the servers, right, the operating systems, the web server, the database, code execution, caching, content delivery network, that all falls within our SLA, and that's a 4.9, so 99.99 SLA. And really kind of the beauty here is this platform layer. So we use platform.sh as our platform as a service layer, and that allows us to do a lot of things. And if you're not familiar with the difference between, on-premise, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, SaaS, this should give you a pretty good idea there. So if you look at just AWS, right, application security, database operating system, you're looking after with platform as a service, which is what Magento Enterprise Cloud Edition is. We're taking care of everything. You still have access to the application. You can still do all your customizations. You still manage that app, but we'll take care of that infrastructure, right? We'll take care of that hosting. And that platform as a service layer allows us to do scaling, but in an intelligent manner. So when we scope out, right, the configurations that our clients utilize, we base it upon their averages, but we build in auto-scaling. So if they have huge peaks, right, we can scale up and we can accommodate that. But you're not always paying for all that infrastructure. We'll scale back down to whatever is appropriate, right, for your averages. So just an example of a common, kind of surge configuration there. So platform as a service, right, just a little bit deeper. From a developer standpoint, so doing things like cloning on the fly production, you can do that in the platform layer, right? Enable, user testing, letting developers from an agile method all contribute, but still having, right, all your access codes or access controls. A platform as a service will allow you to do that. And then Magento, right? So we went AWS, we went the platform as a service layer, and now we're talking about Magento. We didn't build a different version. It's not some, forked version of Magento. It's Magento Enterprise, right, 2.1. all these same extensions. They all work for the platform. Everything you're used to, right, with Magento Enterprise is there. And then we put some performance management tools right on top of that. So things like New Relic, things like Blackfire, we give you access to those. So your performance management, you can access those tools. Your partners can access those tools. So right, being able to tell if there's some sort of performance degradation, I can go into New Relic and I can find that. Things like New Relic Insights are available via an extension. So if I want to use their insights, right, I can turn that on as well. Things like Blackfire IO, so going into that production code, right, and finding where that issue is, will give you access, right, to all of these tools. It's all part of our overall stack. And then at the very top, right, we have Fastly. So we use Fastly for DDoS and CDN. They have locations around the world, so it was a natural fit for us with using AWS and Fastly. And what's nice is you can push, we're very tightly integrated with Fastly, so you can push a lot of Magento, right, from a caching standpoint into Fastly and really only use Magento where needed. So lowering that infrastructure cost, the more you can have in cache, right, it's going to lower that cost in there. And you can cache static content, you can cache things like pricing, so you can cache, right, more content here. So that's the stack, high level. So again, AWS, platform as a service, Magento Enterprise, your performance management tools, right, and then your CDN, DDoS offering with Fastly. So the cloud's important for us, right? In a lot of regions, people want to be in the cloud. They want to be able to be in multiple locations. So a lot of our merchants that are doing things from a cross-border trade standpoint, you know, this is a natural fit for them. But what's nice about Magento is we don't force you to use the cloud. If being on-premise is a better fit for you, or you sourcing hosting through a partner, right? Just like our platform, we're flexible with how our platform is deployed and how you consume, you know, our technologies. So that's the cloud, and then I wanted to just talk a little bit about what else is new, you know, at Magento. So order management, right? Omni-channel retailer. How do I coordinate that process? So we made a big investment into our MCOM product. It's a standalone product that's separate from Magento. You can consume one or the other. And we can basically consume orders from an order management standpoint from any system. So you'll see there on the left, right, you have web orders, your mobile phone orders, you know, orders from an app, orders from customer service, orders from marketplaces, orders from competitive e-commerce platforms. We can consume all of those orders, and then we can coordinate all the inventory sources. So let's say you have, you know, 500 stores and inventory is at a store level, and you want to expose in-store inventory online, or you want to drive people in store to pick up the product, or you do lock boxes at a local convenience store and you want to ship products right to those lock boxes and have the customer pick it up there, or some products are drop shipped, or there's different warehouses and there's different countries, right? There can be a lot of different inventory sources out there, and what MCOM does is we'll take all those orders, take all those inventory sources, and really connect them together. So you'll see 4 main boxes here, right? So you have distributed order management, so your actual coordination of orders, and it can really be as complex as needed. So we have clients, right, that maybe sell perishable food items where some things need to go overnight, or in one region of the country there's only one courier, so I need to make sure that courier, right, can meet some sort of delivery SLA. All that inventory that we talked about, all coordinated, you know, in there. And then all your omni-channel fulfillment. So we have some clients where they've gotten rid of their warehouses and 100% of their online fulfillment comes directly from stores. And you have to create all sorts of SLAs, right, if you do things like that. So an order comes into store A, maybe that's the closest store. You know, if they can't fulfill that order within 8 hours, I need to roll that over to another store. So we spend a lot of time and do a lot of work with our clients around all the logic, right, that has to go into an order management platform. And then we find a lot of customers will actually use MCOM as their customer service portal. So maybe instead of logging into Magento, you log into the MCOM product because you have 10 Magento sites and 10 apps and maybe you just bought another company and they're on another platform and you want to still look at that order data, you can have a unified place, right, where you do customer service. And then you'll see on top we have MCOM Analytics, and then we do payments and fraud. So in some markets, we'll actually provide payment services, we'll provide fraud management for our customers, and I'll talk about analytics here in a second. So Magento Analytics, this is really new for us. If you're familiar with RJ Metrics, which is a business intelligence tool, we bought that company I think it's been about 2 weeks. So that's going to be rebranded right into Magento Analytics. So a real business intelligence tool specific for e-commerce. So not only looking at your Magento data, right, but looking at your Google Analytics data, looking at data from other systems, pulling all that data in and having a real BI tool will be big for us. So I put one screenshot in there. You can kind of see what that looks like, but it's, a SaaS-based platform, so it's very easy to use. It's really new for us, so I didn't go into a deep dive. But it's important to note, right, that we make continuous investments, right, into commerce technologies. Sometimes that's improving technologies that we have. Other times that's acquiring, right, best-of-breed technologies and bringing them into our portfolio. And then our philosophy. So I'm definitely not a philosopher, but I think our goal at Magento is to allow you to be unique. I think a lot of times you get put into a box, right, in other e-commerce platforms, and you have to live in that box. What we find is every client is different, right? You have a different business model, different requirements, and we want to be that platform, right? We want to be the underlying technology, and then we want to say, hey, we've got a huge ecosystem of partners, of developers, of hosting companies, of payment gateways, right, of email marketing systems. And we want you to mold our platform. We want you to customize it. That way it fits your very specific business needs and your requirements. And that's why we have 250,000 merchants and why we have merchants that do fashion, omni-channel, retail, B2B, consumer goods, every sort of vertical, right, we'll serve those verticals. So hopefully that gives you some insight right into what we're doing at Magento, the places that we're making investments. So here's my contact details, WhatsApp, iMessage, text, call, email, however you want to contact me, I'm pretty available. So I'm happy to answer any questions right now around Magento, or feel free to reach out at any time. But thank you.
Thank you, Mike. All right. Before we close the session, let's have a question maybe from the audience for.
Hey, Mike. It's very insightful. The question I have is the Magento Commerce Order Management.
Yep.
Have you rolled out for any customers in the Asian region?
Yeah, so we have one client that's launched in Australia already, and then we have about 5 in development, right now for the region. So mostly companies that sell into multiple countries, some international brands, yeah.
And second part is it a hosted solution?
Yeah, it's a SaaS-based solution, and there's a service layer around that. So whatever data is out there, we can consume that data into that service layer. So still a lot of flexibility from an integration standpoint.
Okay. The second question is on the cloud edition.
Yep.
For example, Fastly as a CDN doesn't exist in Indonesia. So if I were to send my customer to Singapore every time, it's a costly proposition, mate. So what is your solution for Indonesia?
So we'll have to look and see where Fastly is rolling out, because they've been adding a lot of different POP locations. So we can look at that, right, as an option. But again, right, we're okay if you want to do something that's on premise, or you want to go to someone like an iCube and have them sort that out for a different option, right? We have those sort of flexibility. But right now they don't have a location here, right?
But I guess the question, can we use your stack, but just changing just the CDN part with, let's say, local talent CDN?
Today, no, but in the future, possibly, yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Question again here.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
We are your first Magento 2.0 client, Indonesia.
Enterprise.
Thank you.
Okay, after we experience 2.0, we have mixed feelings. One of things is your Elasticsearch we prefer to have, Elasticsearch can be plug and play to Magento 2.0. Is this possible?
In terms of putting it into 2.0
Yeah,
instead of 2.1?
while we are exploring to migrate to 2.1.
Yeah, I mean, if you move to 2.1, then Elasticsearch is what we're supporting in there, so you could use it, yeah, from a 2.1 standpoint. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, upgrade is a must.
Yep.
Upgrade is must.
Next question from there.
Hi, Mike. I would like to know about Magento B2B, more about, because our business are more towards B2B, and does it exist available on the cloud, or do we even have can access a demo or something?
Yeah, we can set up a demo. So Magento Enterprise Cloud, Magento Enterprise on-premise is the same functionality. So the functionality is there in either version. Yeah, it's the same code base too. So yeah, I mean, B2B is our second biggest vertical, right? So that's already available. What you'll find within our ecosystem though is you'll find B2B extensions or like a stack specifically for B2B. So common scenarios, a lot of our clients want to do like contract-based pricing, right? And they want to pull that out of their back office. Within that Magento marketplace, within our ecosystem, there'll be partners that provide those as extensions, and they'll have their stack in there. So something that we can do with you is take you through a demo of here's purely what's out of the box, and then we can help our clients, right, identify that here's the partner. Let's say you use a specific ERP system. Here's the partner, right, that has that set of extensions and extends, right, Magento for that. But that core underlying B2B technology is already there, yeah.
Actually, probably want to add into that question because they are my clients too. Actually, we are referring to your announcement back on April where Magento on the fall is coming up with the enterprise B2B specific platform.
Oh, got it.
Is that the beta is available anytime soon for a potential B2B client here?
I don't know what the criteria are for getting into the getting a preview of that and
I can send you some information, but there's some, it's not a formal data room, but there's some flexibility that we can preview or apply and give you some early access or indication of what's coming.
yeah, great functionality we know. Fall is optimistic. Just gonna put that out there. At this point, I would expect spring.
Spring, okay.
How big is the effort, and then how fast we can upgrade from 2 to 2.1?
That's benchmarks.
Now we are in beta launch. Beta.
Which version?
204.
Which version?
204.
204.
And then we have grand launch around October, so we're thinking within 2 months with all those, mixed feeling. So is this possible? Within 1 month we upgrade to 2.1.
Within 1 month. What are your resources?
He's going to point at me.
He'll do it for you tonight.
I guess it's more an extension because there's a lot of extension actually not 2.1 ready. I guess it's just all the time. That's the tricky part. I always answers on that part. We have about 2 or 3 vendors that extend.
Yeah, especially the painful one is the payment gateways. Because now, Magento 2.0, we have to build again payment gateways. Non-PayPal, I'm not talking about PayPal.
Right, because here PayPal is not much of a factor, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're on, is it Veritrans or?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Actually, there are some extensions. Did you see Hiro's presentation? Hiro, are you here? Yes, there you are. So Hiro from VerityWorks has, I know, extension for Veritrans already. Yep.
That's Japan, yeah.
Yeah, for Japan, but I think it should map here.
We'll have to check.
That would be worth checking out.
Yeah.
There are a lot of unknowns. If there's a lot of extensions, that obviously that might increase because we did have some lower level platform changes. The good thing is we have underlying versioning below the market version, like we actually have platform level versioning that should reveal any backwards breaks. There were a couple of apparent breaks that popped up, which is on us because that shouldn't have happened. But
And I heard 2.1 is coming from
2.1.1 is being packaged literally right now and should be ready today.
So can we consider it as just a patches? Is it more than patches?
The releases are no longer a patching process. I mean, you could patch it, but it would be a massive change set. So it is an actual proper upgrade process.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
1 month, yes.
Yeah. So, and this is actually the first real proof of our commitment that upgrades. Basically, Magento 2 was built to be much more upgrade friendly, and much more, and to provide much more feedback to the developers through the test suite, essentially, so that you know if you execute an upgrade, if things work as they should. And this is the first time we're actually getting to really prove this, going from 2.0 to 2.1. So it's
we'll give you feedbacks.
that's what we're looking for, is the feedback.
But we should wait for the 2.11, right?
I would 2.11 is literally being packaged right now.
Okay.
You all are the first people to know that outside of us.
Any more questions for Magento folks here? Nothing? Okay. All right, nothing. Thank you. Give it a round of applause again to Mike. But before we close the session, I would like to invite, per the EO request, to be all the speakers to come up on the stage for just a quick picture.